Last year, I was at the mall with my fiancé when I saw this awesome cashmere/wool coat. It was perfect in every way, and it was only one left in my size. The best news was that it was on clearance for $100, so I bought it without a second thought. I wore it several times last year, but it hasn't been cold enough this year for me to break out the coat. Last week, when I saw the news about the upcoming cold front, I decided it was time to take it to the dry cleaner so that I could wear it this week. After tearing all my closets apart without seeing it, I asked my fiancée if she had seen it. She told me that she hadn't seen me wear it in a while, so she lent it to her brother to wear to a wedding. I was annoyed at hearing this, but decided not to make a big deal, so I simply told her to tell her brother to bring it back so I could get it dry cleaned. Thursday rolled around, and he hadn't brought it back, so I asked her about it again, but nothing. Come Friday, and I haven't heard anything, so I called him. He said that he told my wife on Tuesday that he got drunk at the wedding and lost my coat. I was super annoyed at this, so I told him that he owes that exact coat from that exact brand. Last night, my fiancée came home from work in a mood and handed me $100. She said that her brother dropped off the money, and I shouldn't have made her brother pay for the coat, since I knew he doesn't make very much, and I haven't worn it but a handful of times. I looked at the $100 and told her I wanted a replacement coat, or the amount it currently cost, so that I could buy a new one, and that $100 wouldn't cover it. She said he went to the store and it cost $700 now, but she knew I only paid $100 for it, so she told him $100 would cover the cost. I argued that $100 doesn't buy me a new coat. We went back and forth but couldn't find any common ground. She offered to throw in an extra $100 of her own money and said sarcastically, "I'm coming out ahead." I argued that I was still out of a coat and nothing would satisfy my loss except a replacement coat. She argued that I didn't have to have the exact coat and that I could buy a similar one for $200. She thought I was being ridiculous and called her parents on speakerphone. Of course, they sided with their children, and her dad tried to say that a man shouldn't be so hung up on a coat. I told him that a man replaces what he loses. So now they're all mad at me for wanting to profit from their son and intimating that he's not a man. Am I wrong for wanting the same coat as a replacement? Not the idiot, obviously. He lost a coat. He should replace it with the same more comparable coat. Not handing you $100 like that covers it. And your girlfriend should cover it if her brother doesn't, since she lent your things without your permission. But you're never going to win this argument. It seems petty from the outside when it's framed as just a coat. But it's not just a coat. It's a complete disrespect of your things. Your girlfriend went and took something of yours without even mentioning it to you, lent it to someone else, who then lost it. She's ultimately responsible here. And the whole attitude about you wanting to profit or being ridiculous for wanting it replaced. Are they kidding? You're supposed to be like, "Oh well, just forget it." Does she have any respect for you at all? If I did this and my brother lost or ruined the coat, I would jump through hoops to replace it. I honestly can't believe her attitude. And the whole family too. I'm sorry, my guy, but you'll have to make some tough decisions regarding this relationship. Giving away your coat in the first place was a major red flag. Fighting you on holding her brother responsible was an even redder one. And finally, bringing her parents into the mix, as if they would be neutral arbiters. I feel like it's obvious. She's going to keep pulling selfish crap like this. Agree. Literally, she called her parents on speakerphone to help bully OP into bending over. Dad even tried to emasculate OP into bending to their will. Luckily, it didn't work. As a possible side note, will she always be loaning money to her brother or other relatives who don't make as much as she and OP do? OP needs to run away. At the very least, take the $200 now and break up. Take the brother-in-law to court for the rest. If he gets nothing, it's $500. Divorce and heartache cost a lot more. My brother-in-law, my husband's brother, just got engaged. My husband and I have been married for 8 years. Before he proposed, he said, "You can either have a really nice ring or the down payment on a house." I went with the house, which I don't regret at all, with the market the way it is now, and I have a perfectly adequate ring that I also love. I was fawning over her ring when we were in the car on the way home from seeing them and said something like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous." And my husband got very upset. I tried to calm him down, like I'm also jealous of rich people with 5 houses and a private jet, but that doesn't mean I expect my husband to provide me with 5 houses and a private jet. It's just a feeling. I'm also jealous of our dog, who gets to nap all day and never worries about anything. I explained all this to him, and he was still mad and said I shouldn't have said anything, and it made him feel like he couldn't provide for me. I apologized, but a few days later, I could tell he was still smarting over the remark. It's getting annoying. I tried to bring it up again, and he said I just needed to leave it alone, and then added, "I'm entitled to my feelings, just like you're entitled to your jealousy." Honestly, it just seems stupid to me. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot, not so much for saying you were jealous, but for saying you think your husband's feelings are stupid. He's right. He's entitled to feel hurt by the comment, just as you're entitled to covet your sister-in-law's ring. Instead of telling him why you think he shouldn't feel how he feels, try understanding and showing compassion to his feelings. Not the idiot. I tell people I'm so jealous, or color me green, all the time as a compliment over something. I'm so jealous generally equals, that's so nice. The ring is a sore spot with your hubby, but you had a choice between a ring or house, and you made it. Tell him you're glad you chose a house, and you get to live there. And if he's really that bothered by the ring, he's going to have to get over it. There may be an element of competition between the brothers at play also. Which one was better at sports, got better grades, which one is more successful, got their fiancé a bigger ring. Your husband expressed his long-term commitment to you in a pragmatic versus romantic way, based on your choice. He may be feeling that you're subconsciously or have suppressed a feeling of disappointment for having to make a choice. He's feeling like he failed you and himself. This past Christmas, my mother got my daughter, Amy, a preschooler, a doll she's been asking for. It's a baby version of Mirabelle from the Disney movie Encanto. It quickly became her favorite. My husband's cousin, Nat, has a daughter I'll call Julie, a young grammar schooler. I wouldn't classify her as spoiled, but she tends to disobey others. There have been numerous occasions in which I asked Julie to do something, "Please sit down, please don't touch that," etc., and she either ignored me or went behind my back to do the opposite. While I understand she's a child, Nat rarely attempts to educate her daughter or correct her behavior. Last week, Nat and Julie visited us with some other relatives. Julie saw the Mirabelle doll and asked my daughter if she could play with her. Amy refused. Julie protested, but I spoke with the girls and got them to play with other toys. Sometime later, the kids sat down to watch TV, while the others and I got dinner ready. When we went back to the living room, Julie was gone. After a short search, we found her in my bathroom. She had taken not only the Mirabelle doll, but also my nail polish carrying case. Julie had used my nail polish to paint the doll's hair, face, and dress. The polish covered most of her facial painting, matted her hair, and ruined her clothes. Amy saw what happened and was devastated. When we asked Julie what she was doing, she said she was giving the doll a makeover. Nat and Julie left in a hurry. The next day, I asked Matt what she planned to do about it. She suggested that the girls apologize to each other, Julie for painting the doll, Amy for not sharing it in the first place, and hug it out, and offered to give me a couple of new bottles of nail polish. I made it clear that Amy didn't need to apologize, and while I didn't care about the nail polish, they cost $4, and Julie didn't empty the bottle she used. I did expect Nat and her husband to replace the doll. Nat refused. She said that it wouldn't be fair for her to waste money over an innocent mistake that a child had made. She also doesn't think Julie should be the only one apologizing, as none of this would have happened if Amy had agreed to share in the first place. I asked her twice. She said no both times. Finally, I called her husband and explained the situation. He apologized profusely and agreed to buy Amy a new doll. He stopped by on Saturday and gave it to us. He also brought Julie along, and made her apologize to Amy. Apparently, Nat and her husband fought over this, as she kept insisting that Julie was just a child and they owed us nothing. So now, besides saying I was acting entitled to expect a new doll, she's blaming me for their fight. My husband is on my side, but my mother-in-law thinks I should apologize, as this is blown out of proportion and I could have dealt with it more gracefully. She also thinks it was wrong of Amy to refuse to share. Am I the idiot? Every sane person is on your side, so it's not the idiot. At least the spoiled girl's dad had some common sense. I wonder why people hang out with crap relatives and then complain about issues they cause. I give everyone a fair chance, and if they blow it, then they're gone out of my life, and I couldn't care less about them whining and complaining. Everyone gets what they deserve. Oh my God, how infuriating. There's no reason your daughter should have had to share her doll in the first place. Mother-in-law is way out of line for that. Your daughter shared her other toys. You know darn well that the other little girl did that to your daughter's doll, deliberately, out of spite. I'm angry at you for even considering for a moment that you're wrong in this. The other daughter's mother is so far out of line, it's insane. And for the love of God, never let those idiots in your house again. My husband and I live right next door to his friend, Tim, and his friend's wife, Jonah. I have a son, preschooler, and an infant daughter. Tim and Jonah have a kindergartner and an infant, boys. My labor went a lot smoother than hers did. She ended up needing an emergency hysterectomy as she was bleeding out on the delivery bed. They came home last night. When they got home, Tim called my husband down to smoke, and when he got back upstairs, he told me that Tim had asked him for a favor. He was wondering if I would go over to his house periodically throughout the day while he was at work to check on his wife and do tasks for her, cooking, cleaning, keeping her company, as she was bedridden and feeling down and depressed from the unexpected hysterectomy and the reality of not being able to have more children. Listen, I feel for the woman, I really do. But this isn't my problem. I just had a baby less than a month ago, and even cooking for us is a chore because I'm exhausted. My husband said repeatedly, "It's okay if you say no. I'm sure they would understand. But it'd be nice if you did this for them because I'm sure she could really use the company." I know I'm being selfish, but I don't care if she could use the company. And I feel backed into a corner and manipulated with wordplay. It's okay if you say no, but you should just say yes. So much so that I'm getting really angry that this is even being asked of me. I asked my husband why he or his buddy would immediately think I would be available to do this, considering I just had my baby and I'm also taking care of our older kid. He said, "I understand that, but you're already up and doing things, and she can't even do that because she's bedridden, so she can't even make her kid food or anything." Anyway, I told him no. I told him I had a bad taste in my mouth about them attempting to back me into a corner for a yes answer with their guilt trips, and that if she was incapable of doing anything, Tim needed to step it up and either A, take time off from work, or B, start meal prepping and call someone else to come into his home and do everything else. My husband and Tim work at the same job, and they were both given 4 days off when we went into labor, so we had time to try and figure this out. But instead, he just tried pawning it off on me, thinking I would say yes. My husband said he doesn't blame me for saying no, but my attitude on it has caused tension between him and Tim because I'm acting heartless. Am I the idiot for not caring that Jonah needs help and telling them that it's not my problem? Edit. I just want to add that I've met this woman twice, for at most 15 minutes each time. My husband has only met her maybe 3 times. He only just started hanging out with Tim 4 months ago, after we started working with them. Their friendship grew quickly because we coincidentally moved beside them a month after they met. Absolutely not the idiot. You're a week postpartum. People should be bringing you meals. Tell your husband and his buddy to hire a caretaker. Go to a church. My church offers services like this for people in need, or someone can take time off work. I hate when people feel the need to be charitable with other people's resources. They both get to feel great about helping her out, while you, still bleeding and postpartum, get to take on other household chores. They could have spent that smoking time batch cooking meals, cleaning the house, etc. Tell both able-bodied men to do the chores if they feel so charitable. The dad needs to step up and batch cook, etc. for his family. Pack a lunch for his wife and toddler each morning, etc. Any outside help not from OP is a bonus. They basically voluntold you to do this. This isn't your problem, responsibility, or business. I feel for Jonah, but she married an idiot. How about you buy less smoke and buy more food you can cook for your darn wife? Just because you live next door to them doesn't mean anything. Next time they're having a meeting of the minds while smoking, tell him to go clean his buddy's home. Wow, these guys suck. Best to you and your little one, but I feel like there's way more of this headed your way. I live in a nice neighborhood. The driveway has room for 2 cars, but it's reserved for my dad and his girlfriend. I park on the curb in front of our house, which comfortably fits 2 cars. My neighbor constantly has guests over, and the guests constantly park on that curb in front of our house, which wouldn't be an issue if they parked properly, but they don't. They never do. They park directly in the middle of the curb, leaving no room for other cars. And I work a closing shift as well, so I've been forced to find parking on the next street or park and walk back home in the cold, rainy night, lugging 10 to 20 pounds worth of items. My dad has talked to them several times, telling their guests to leave room for other cars to park as well, but they don't care. The same thing just happens the next day. My neighbor got a new truck, and someone dinked it, and he came over today to ask if we could check our ring footage to see if it caught anything on camera only. I was at home, but I just said no and shut the door on him. He never had any neighborly courtesy over me having to walk the next street over or from a park to get home at like 12 a.m. in heavy rain, so I didn't care if his car got a scratch. My dad saw the ring camera and asked me what happened. I explained to him, and he told me I shouldn't do that because it made us look bad. But we did check the footage, and our cameras never caught anything anyway, so it isn't our issue. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I would have said more than no and slammed the door if I had neighbors like that. The neighbors have been extremely inconsiderate of you, and it's quite comical that the neighbors suddenly want your help when all your families ever wanted was a consideration, which you never got. Tell your dad not to worry. It doesn't make you look bad. It sends a clear signal that you're very fed up with their antics. You don't have to be a doormat to people who disrespect you in hopes that they treat you better. Show them that they need to earn it. I disagree. After your interaction with them, they probably think it was you that dinged it. Everyone's the idiot here. Also, you did miss an opportunity. Oh, you're here to request something? I see. I've been there myself. It's nice when neighbors help each other out. Am I right? Well, no problem. I'll check that footage for you, but give me a week. I've been busy at work, and I'm exhausted. When I get home, I have to park several blocks away because people park in front of my house and don't leave me enough room for a second car. There's plenty of room for 2 cars, but some people just don't think to care for others. So come back in a week, and if I can park in front of my house, I should be able to find the time to check the footage. See you in 7 days. Goodbye.